Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Insurance Explained with Andrew Perlin. Thanks for being here today. Listen, most people think about insurance. They always think about, do I have enough coverage? Is my policy big enough? And we have spent a lot of time on a lot of different podcasts talking about what you should do. But here's the problem. One of the biggest financial risks on the road right now has nothing to do with your insurance. It has everything to do with the other person's insurance or lack thereof. So today we're going to talk about one of the most overlooked coverages in auto insurance. And that's called the uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage. Because this is a coverage that protects you when the other person doesn't protect themselves. So let me paint you a quick picture. You're driving home from work, everything is great, beautiful day outside, you're following all the rules, you're not distracted, and then out of nowhere, you get hit, right? Somebody runs a red light or does something, and the next thing you know, you're in a serious accident. Now, here's the question. What kind of insurance does that driver have to protect you from the medical expenses that you're going to have to face? Because whatever they choose is about to impact your financial future, like it just is. So here's what most people don't realize. A lot of drivers on the road either have no insurance at all or they carry minimum limits. In the state that I live in, minimum limits is 30,000 per person, 60,000 for the accident, and 15,000 for property damage. That's not a very big number. I say it all the time. If you get into an accident and you break someone's arm, okay, you should be okay. If you get into an accident and you break somebody's back, you're going to have a problem from a financial perspective. This is a big deal. And if they're carrying minimum limits, you're going to exhaust that pretty quick because they have an ambulance ride. You may have an ER visit. You may have surgery. And if you're on $30,000, you can blow through that in a matter of hours. So what happens? The at-fault driver runs out of insurance, and then you're left with the bill. Medical expenses, loss of income, rehab. And if the other party doesn't have the assets, there's nothing to go after. Now, there's ways that you can protect yourself, meaning you can sue them, you can garnish their wages, you can seize their assets. Like, don't get me wrong, that's still on the table to you, and nothing has changed whether you do it to somebody else or someone does that to you. But there's got to be something that they can attach it to in order to make you whole. Not to mention, it may take a while before you actually get that money back. So this is where uninsured, underinsured motorist comes into play. Uninsured, underinsured motorist does something very simple, but it's very powerful. It steps in your shoes when the other driver can't. If they have no insurance, your uninsured motorist coverage will apply. And if they don't have enough insurance, your underinsured motorist comes into play. So this is a very important thing, and you get to choose this on your auto policy. So most people are looking at their auto policy like, okay, here's my liability limits. This is if I do damage. Well, this is the one part of your policy that will actually protect you in the event the other person doesn't have the proper insurance. So you're not just buying insurance for yourself, you're protecting yourself from somebody else on the road because you can't control what they choose. You can't control their coverage amount. You can't control whether they policy didn't lapse. You can't control whether they're responsible at all. So this is where underinsured, uninsured motorist comes into play. If you invoke that portion of your policy, that in no way, shape, or form prevents you from filing a lawsuit or taking whatever legal means you have at your disposal. You can still do that. However, like I said earlier, sometimes it takes a minute to get through the legal process. It takes a minute to get that guilty verdict that you're looking for from the courts. And then it can take a while to actually get that money out of them so you can pay for yourself. This is where the uninsured, underinsured motorist comes into play. Because it gives you hopefully the same limits that you put on your liability right away. Okay, so here's how I explain it to clients all the time. You can do everything right. You carry high limits. You have a great policy. You got a great agent, right? And you're being financially responsible. But you can still get financially hurt because someone else made a bad decision. That's what makes this coverage so important. It's not about your behavior. It's about protecting yourself from everybody else's behavior. Okay, here's how uninsured motorist works. Somebody hits you. They either don't have enough or don't have any. You file a claim, your policy will pay you out to the limit of whatever you chose, and then the insurance company will go after the other party to try to get their money back. That's the insurance company's problem at that point. They will 100% do that. That again does not prevent you at all from filing a lawsuit, from hiring an attorney, from doing anything that you got to do to try to get your money back from them. The insurance company is going to do the same thing. But the good news is that now you have this pot of money that you can access to fix your car. to pay for your medical expenses, to do rehab, to do whatever you got to do to get back to work or get back to your normal everyday life. That's why that's there. Let the insurance company go after the other party to try to get their money back. And if you still feel the need to file a lawsuit, by all means, file a lawsuit. But that's what this will do. Now, when you're looking at it from a policy perspective, you have your liability limits and you'll choose whatever those limits are. Your uninsured, underinsured motorist has to be either at the same level or lower. You can't have more uninsured than you are willing to provide liability for somebody else. So when I always talk to clients, I'm just saying like it's just easy to match it, right? So if you have 250, 500 on your liability, you should have 250, 500 on your uninsured motorist. Because again, if you're willing to protect somebody else to a certain level, you should be willing to protect yourself to that level as well. The good news is uninsured, underinsured motorist is not a very expensive thing. It's on every policy, but to the bigger limits, it's not very expensive. So you might as well match the liability limits that you currently have. If you have low liability limits, then you're going to have low uninsured motorist limits. So you should raise your liability limits because you want to protect your assets. And then you should raise your uninsured, underinsured motorist to match it because you want to protect yourself in the event somebody does a bad job when they create their policy. That's what this is all about. So we talk about this before in other episodes that getting into an accident can be worse than a market crash, or not being properly insured can be worse than a market crash. Well, getting into an accident, even when you're not at fault and you did everything right and the other person didn't, well, that can be worse than a market crash because it can take you a really long time to get your money back from this other person, but you need it now. So that could be worse than a market crash. So why don't we protect ourselves the best that we can? And the best way to do that is uninsured motorist. I live in Maryland. It happens all the time to clients that get these phone calls almost every day. I got hit by somebody and they didn't have any insurance. They didn't have enough insurance. What do I do? No problem. Let's file the claim under uninsured motorist. It's a non-at-fault accident to you. But at the end of the day, now you have a pot of money that you can actually use to fix your car and to fix yourself. While the insurance company goes after the other party, and if you feel the need to file a lawsuit, then you go right ahead and do that too. There's no one stopping you there. So here's a simple question to think about, right? If you are seriously injured in a car accident tomorrow and the other driver has little or no insurance, would your current policy be enough to protect you? If you're not sure, that's exactly the kind of thing that's worth reviewing because this is one of those coverages that you don't think about until it's too late. And I see it a lot, and I'm sure you do too. So as we always say, if your life changed, your coverage should too. So let's review it. All right. Well, hey, listen, thank you for being here. It's a quick episode, but it's really important. This is Andrew Perlin with Insurance Explained. Thank you very much for being a part of this. And please continue to like and share the content. And I hope you're getting something out of it. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.